You're listening to Guitar Talk with Dave and John. All right, welcome back to another installment of Guitar Talk. I am Dave.
And I am the well-fed co-host, John Bingham.
You should have a bib on when you say that. And we ate lamb.
Can we start this week's episode out like we did last week's and make it food talk for a moment?
Sure, go right ahead.
Oh my God.
What'd you eat?
All right, I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say this. I think I had the best sandwich I've ever had in my life this weekend.
So you went to Bread's? No, I'm just kidding. Where did you go?
No, this is a different one. So there's a joint that yours and my favorite, Guy Fieri, had exposed on his Triple D show, right? And it's called The Little Jewel of New Orleans. And it's downtown. It's about 1 block west of Philippe's. Remember Philippe's?
Of course, right by the train station.
Right. This place is 1 block west of that. You can see the Philippe sign right from it.
Right.
But Little Jewel of New Orleans, and they do like Creole and Cajun and all that sort of stuff. And my buddy tells me, oh my God, you've never been there. You got to go there. It's amazing, yada, yada, yada. And I called up Melissa and I said, let's do this. So we all went out and we went down there. And kid, this might not appeal to some of the viewers here, but I like Cajun food. I had a blackened catfish and blackened shrimp po' boy.
Love it.
And it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about it ever since. It was truly like amazing. Absolutely amazing. And then this place also has like andouille sausage po' boys and meatballs and soft shell crab.
Sure.
They've got all kinds of
it's a Nolan's place.
Oh, sorts of southern fried vegetables, if you know what I mean.
Gumbos. Do they have a gumbo?
Oh yeah. Who was it that used to do the jambalaya? Was that Personas? Used to do the jambalaya.
Yeah, I think that's who it was. Yeah, we had that jambalaya outside. That was fantastic.
Yeah, that was really good. I think it was Personas. That would make sense because they're like Louisiana. But yeah, that was my Saturday. I don't know if any of our viewers are LA, but if you are, good God, find that place, Little Jewel of New Orleans. It's really, really, really good.
Nice.
If you can dodge the heroin needles and homeless feces on the sidewalk to get into it, you're in.
Oh, it's worth the obstacle course.
Right, exactly.
Nice.
Oh, it's phenomenal. I'm gonna find my way back down there sometime this week. I have to. I gotta try something else off that menu.
Nice. Well, that's very good. I performed down this weekend. I actually ate down in Newport because I had a gig Saturday night in Newport, Rhode Island, and it was a beautiful night, perfect weather for a gig. And I should have tried this pizza place. It smelled really good, but I actually ate at the Midtown Oyster Bar where I was working, and it was we had a fun gig.
Are you a fan of like the slippery, slidey?
I will not eat oysters. No.
Yeah.
No, like I like seafood.
I can't stomach oysters. Let's go to that oyster bar right there.
Well, they hired me to play. We were working there, but they have a great menu. Lots of seafood, steaks, burgers. It was good. It's very good food. So, anyways,
Newport, Rhode Island.
Yeah.
There's a great Wendy's in Newport, Rhode Island. I'm just kidding.
I was going to say I drove by the Wendy's in Newport, I think.
Oh, that's the one.
Exactly. I didn't. But yeah. So anyway, that was that gig. And you saw my brother posted his daughter in the School of Rock playing at the Whiskey yesterday.
Yeah, that's really cool. I wish she would have given me a heads up on that. I think my daughter would have liked to have witnessed that.
Yeah, pretty funny.
That's cool. Yeah. He didn't post any video of that, I don't think. I just saw a still.
Well, he sent me video, but yeah, I think Regan just posted the still picture. But yeah, there was video. It was good. It was cute. You know what I mean? They were doing their thing. I mean, they're all like 10 years old. 10 years old. Let me put it this way: they're 10 years old and they're performing "Surrender." Hit Me With Your Best Shot. That kind of stuff. Bon Jovi, You Give Love a Bad Name. So, I mean, it's better than them listening to the horseshit that's out today. You know what I mean? It's
sure.
like it's really good. And speaking of horseshit, last night I went down a rabbit hole. I watched the Dream Theater from 2010 seeking out to find the replacement for Mike Portnoy.
Okay.
And so there's like one, two, it might have been 5 or 6 drummers who auditioned. Mike Mangini, Marco Miniman, whatever his name is.
Miniman.
Yeah. And then there was this Tom Lang, who I thought was very
Thomas
good.
Lang.
Yeah.
What was his name? Something Priester was, I think, in that mix.
Was it Ken?
Priester or whatever.
Well, there was a couple. It was actually everybody was pretty great. There was a couple that I was like, yeah. Virgil Donati was very good. In fact, I thought Virgil Donati probably was the best of the overlooked. Like, they didn't put him in the top tier of the final 3. And I thought he was probably 1 or 2. Just watching them and listening to the band and saying, this sounds... Because I don't really know their music, so to me it all sounds like a new song. But when I was listening to the drummers, some of the guys was sounding, okay. And I know they're trying to fill in Portnoy's shoes. But I thought Virgil Donati sounded like he'd been playing with them for a long time. It sounded like they were a band. And I also felt that way a little bit with Mangini, that they sounded a little bit more like a band. And of course, as everybody knows, Mangini got the gig. And just watching how gracious he was when he accepted it and everything else, you kind of were rooting for him anyway. Seemed like a super nice guy. And he had a history with the guys. He knew them already because I guess he was friendly with Mike, with Portnoy. So, but it was interesting. It's if anybody wants to see, it's a great process to watch because you're not really looking for what would be considered the best or anything like that. So back when the Big Angry was playing, we had just gotten Nick Menza from Megadeth on drums, and Pete, the bass player, decided he was going to go get married and move to Virginia. So now the band is like, all right, we just got a great new drummer, and now we're stuck without a bass player. And we got to audition because Nick knew a lot of people that would be interested in playing. We got to audition a lot of cool bass players. And it wasn't like it was a tough thing because, he would bring in, I don't want to say people's names or what bands they were from, but we got some pretty known players coming down. And like playing with them for like 10 minutes, just playing a couple of things with them, I was like, yeah, it's not fitting with me. It doesn't feel right. And, so we tried probably like 6 to 7 guys. And then we ended up going out to, what's that bar out in Reseda?
There's 100 bars.
No. The metal bar. The one that bands.
Oh, Paladinos.
So we go to Paladinos to go see, I think it was the Iron Maidens were playing.
Right.
And so we went to go see the Iron Maidens, but the opening band, I was there with my band and my band's manager, and I looked and I said, find out who this bass player is. This is the guy that would fit with us. He just has that sound and feel. And so we talked to him afterwards, and he ended up becoming our bass player. But and he was great, and he fit right in. It felt like it was effortless. I could just tell he was the right feel for the guy. So I understood, like, when you're watching that thing with them, if everyone gets the chance to watch it, I just recommend to watch it because it's a video where you get to watch people who are technically very good. And you may not see why somebody doesn't fit in with the band, but they know why things, so like when I watched Virgil, I thought it was funny because I was like, this guy's just great, fits right in, he sounds great. In fact, they had a riff. You know, the riff competition they did. They did all their auditions were 3 parts. You play an epic song by them. You play one of their hardest songs by them, and then you play a jam where they play this odd time riff, and they want to see what kind of beat you put to it. And I thought Virgil Donati's beat was like, that's a killer groove.
Well, you know why they didn't choose him?
Well, I know he was in a tribute band.
No, well, they didn't choose him because he's Australian.
Right. Why?
Would you choose an Australian?
I knew it was coming. I just didn't know the angle of the joke.
What joke?
Yeah. So no, God. I mean, they I guess he had a tribute band when he first was drumming. He had a Dream Theater tribute band in the 90s.
Okay.
They mentioned
that surprises me.
Yeah.
I've seen Virgil Donati in a few places. I saw him with Holdsworth right before Holdsworth died.
Yeah.
The guy's I think he's always in the big jazz circles.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a big Dream Theater fan. And I thought he hit them really hard, too. Like I said, you don't know when you're watching because you're not playing and you're not in the heads of, like, Dream Theater. But they know what feels comfortable and what feels like home to them. And that's a big part of it. And also what feels like home to them and what do they feel could possibly take them to the next level. Not to say a level above Mike, but just a different level, you know, the next level, whatever it may be. Maybe it's going to be a simpler rock. Maybe it's going to be something that people might enjoy for once. Thank you. If they have a new concept in the band, they're going to actually write a song people care to listen to.
They, that's not their shtick.
Yeah. I mean, they're all great musicians. It's just, so after that, I was messing around with Supertramp's song called "School," and I'm like,
hell of a segue.
But I was just like, this is a great song. Well, it was happened. It's just which
one is "School"? Because I know that Supertramp has a bunch of songs where when I hear them, I'm like, that's a great song. But if you were to just tell me the names of the songs, I'm like, yeah, I don't remember what that is.
It starts off with the harmonica doing the slow bends, and it's like, I remember when we used to go to school.
Yeah, that song is freaking killer. It's exactly what I'm talking about, though. They're one of those bands. It's almost like a casual Zeppelin fan. You never know the names of the songs. You just know all of the songs.
Right. Yeah, and it's a great song, and so I was just messing around with it, and I was just like, this is a great, great song. And I think like bands like Dream Theater, I wish that they would, I mean, not that I care because they don't have to do it, but just to be able to be minded of that type of a song. I had an idea for a band. I haven't really thought about doing original music for a long time just because there's really no reason. But I watched the documentary on YouTube about the history of the Prophet 5. Are you familiar with the Prophet 5, the synthesizer?
Yeah, the keyboard. Yeah, sure.
And I love those synthesizer sounds, those wide-sounding synths where there's several voices, one detuned, one sharp-tuned, very much like the Blade Runner synth sounds.
Yeah.
And I was like, I would like to throw a hard rock band together that focuses around that very old but futuristic, but going
it totally
back.
Has the 70s approach of this is the future.
Exactly.
Yeah, I totally love it.
I do too. I love that sound. It's like, it's that, I don't know if there's a word for it, but it's like that, right? Right, it's the future in 1975.
Yeah, I love that.
You know, I do too. I just think it, and you listen to a movie like Blade Runner and that score that Vangelis did, and you hear like those synth sounds, and it's like, that's so killer. And if you watch this documentary, it's really short. It's just the history of the Prophet 5, but they show all those sounds early on when the Prophet 5 first came out, and I'm like, That's great. I'm like, there isn't a band that uses, I should say, Rush kind of did. I love the synth on Camera Eye.
Right.
Wow, wow, wow. Like to me, that's like basically I'm saying I'd love to get a band based around the Camera Eye. Although,
like
wow, wow,
all of the like opening and closing of the envelopes and everything is really fun. Yeah, that was one thing when I was working at Korg that I really got exposed to that I didn't have a lot of appreciation for before, outside of 70s rock, was the way that the sound synthesis like kind of worked.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting stuff. No, I'm right there with you. There's a guy out of Sweden that goes by the stage name of Mitch Murder. And he doesn't do rock stuff, but what he does is this complete throwback to like 1980s like TV themes. That sort of a thing, but everything he does is all original, but you listen to it and it's just like, how is this 2015 or 16 or whatever year he released it? Because they all sound so authentically like they're from 83, 84.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh, it's freaking brilliant. The guy's amazing at it. But all it is it's him doing all synth stuff. And
right.
There'll be like, some drum loops that are, again, synthesized drum loops from that era. But he kills it. And this guy, like I said, if you ever feel like it, look up Mitch Murder. Also, a side note to that, there's a YouTube movie that came out that's freaking brilliant, and it's only about a half hour or less long, called Kung Fury. You ever heard of Kung Fury? Oh, you got to watch it. I think you'll like it. It's insanely stupid, but this guy does the soundtrack for that.
Well, so that's the kind of sound that I've been hearing in my head lately, is that futuristic sound from 1975 to 78. Like, it has a very film noir sound to it, but it's like, and then throwing in heavy guitar with it, I think would sound killer.
Yeah.
I just love that sound.
Yeah. Do you know, what's the album called? I think it's called like Force Majeure or something like that, from Tangerine Dream. You ever heard of that?
I know who they are, but I don't know that album.
They've got some sounds. This is, again, 70s stuff. Yeah. Some sounds on that record are pretty amazing, pretty cool stuff. Yeah.
I mean,
I'm right there with you.
Even the Oberheim sound that Eddie Van Halen gets on Jump I love that synth sound. Now, I hate the song itself is too happy, but I just think it's like not my thing. But if you take a similar synth sound, you have Subdivisions.
Yeah.
And I love that sound. Like, now, I'm not a huge Rush fan. I like them. So it's like there's elements that I think, like the guitar tones, I would change, but I do think like that's a cool thing to have, that to be very synth-centric and just to do something different. Because I tried looking up to see if there's any bands like it, and there isn't. And I was like, I love that old heavy synthesizer.
Sure. It's kind of in vogue right now, not necessarily to mix it with all the guitar stuff, but that sort of a sound has come back a little bit. Do you watch Stranger Things?
No.
Oh, that was good. You haven't watched that? I liked it. The entire soundtrack is done by this band out of Austin, Texas, and all the band is I think it's three. I think it's 3 guys. It could be 4, but I'm pretty sure it was 3 guys. With each of them just has an ARP Odyssey.
I love it.
And with their ARP Odyssey, they each like set up a different sound for themselves, and they make this music, and it's really cool.
Yeah. I mean,
check out the Stranger Things theme song. It's cool.
Yeah, check it out.
It's very John Carpenter, because John Carpenter did all of that same stuff you're talking about.
Yeah.
The Halloween theme and all that.
Theme. I really love the end credits song in Blade Runner 2. With those heavy synth pads. I mean, it just so anyways, I kind of been keeping my eye out, looking at different synths. I was looking at Behringer came out with the Deep Mind 12, but I think I've decided I don't like it. Yamaha had one called like a CS80 or a CP80,
Right.
and and then but I mean, if you're gonna go out and get something, I think just get a Prophet 12. That's the newest Prophet that's out, and to me, the Prophet has like the best sounds. It's that.
Well, yeah, it's also
it,
$3,500, so you've got to. Yeah.
Well, none of them are cheap. I mean, they're
but
you can find them used. I saw them used for like 22.
yeah, depending on the level that you want to go, something like a Korg mini log is really great because that's going to be under $500 used, and the sounds in it are, they were award-winning sounds. This one came out when I was working there, and it was just like award after award for that particular synth, and we sold more of those than any other keyboard since Triton.
Wow.
And Triton was the biggest selling keyboard of all time, I think, for them. So that just goes to tell you like how great that particular board is. Now that's a 37 keyboard, so it depends on
right.
Do you want something with a really low register that you're actually polyphonically playing at the same time as the higher stuff, or are you going to just use a sequencer like most of these guys do? Because to do a lot of the sounds you're looking for, you need a sequencer because you're going to hold a note, let the sequencer like play the pattern, and then you're twisting the knobs to get all the craziness going on.
Yeah, there's some of that, and there's also some and then there's some playing as well.
Yeah, but,
right,
yeah,
chordal playing, but but for the most part, it's a lot of sequencing.
A lot of the boards are monophonic or duophonic. If you get a polyphonic board, you gotta you're gonna run out of space quick for a lot of two-handed sort of stuff, because I think like Prophet 12 is probably 12-note polyphony. That's my guess.
I think so.
It's probably why they call it 12, because I know the 6 is a 6-note polyphony. So
yeah, I don't know if it's I think it is 12-note polyphony.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean it's a real, I mean that guy was the best. What's his name? Dave Smith, that guy that designed the original the original Prophet 5.
And then, of course, don't overlook Moog or Moog.
Yeah, Moog. I think he says Moog. I saw him on To Tell the Truth last week. It was a game show from like the 70s. They had like one guy and then two clones that try to claim they're him. And will the real Robert Moog please stand up? Unfortunately, I knew what he looked like. So when they all came out, I'm like, it's that guy.
That's funny. So here's what I'm thinking now. I'm looking at your background there. You've got, the Marshalls and the Masons. You got to get rid of all that stuff and get a complete modular system, like from the 1960s, where you've got like giant towers of all the gear with all the wires coming out of everything.
Right. To look like the old synthesizers when they had
exactly 3,000 pounds worth of modular gear.
Right, isn't that like
also you can
Prodigy
hit a button and go.
Right, you ever see the Prodigy, the band on the back of the album? They show like the studio gear, and it's like, come on, it's exactly that. It's like wires everywhere. The photographer's like, plug something in, will you? Plug wires, go in here, make it look ridiculous. It does
exactly. That's probably what they do too.
Oh, for sure.
Funny. Yeah, no, I didn't know that you were into this sort of a sound. This is really cool. I love that sort of stuff. I don't utilize it myself because I don't really have a vision for it, but I do like listening to it.
It's a great sound. I mean, the tough thing is, and I don't know if they fixed this, maybe with Korg they did, but have they made them tempered?
A lot of the real analog stuff still has a tendency to go out of tune.
Well, yeah, because it's too, because it's not tempered, so certain notes are sharp. That's why bands like Steely Dan stayed clear of synthesizers back in the day, and most of the rock bands did, because the tuning was, if they go to hit an F, it's not a tempered F, like on a piano. Yeah, but I think I know someone's made a tempered version, and it would tune better. It would be nicer in tune.
You can get. Yeah, of course, you can get that. I think the true analog nerds are going for true analog, but
right.
I'm certain that there's a bunch of boards out there that you could do
Well, I don't know if I don't know if it would change anything in the analog. It would just change the calculation between the notes. You know what I mean? Like
Not really, but
whatever the
you
math, it's whatever the math is between the notes. They have to, when you temper it, you have to shave it. Like there's a cool video of that guy that did the video that we hate, the AC/DC.
Oh yeah.
And this video I didn't really love, but he basically shows how the song by the Chili Peppers, that John Frusciante is detuning his B string because it's in better tune when it's a little flat. Because standard tuning is a little sharp from the root to the major third.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a cool, he shows it compared to the record. It was cool. It was an interesting, it's kind of what the Buzz Feiten tuning system is on guitars, what he corrects. Because Buzz hated that stuff too. And it's funny because he's like, oh, John Frusciante detuned. But for all we know, he could be just using a Buzz Feiten tuned guitar, which means he didn't detune. It's just how the guitar is tuned.
No, I haven't seen that. But
yeah.
By the way, the Korg MS-20, you have an analog input on it that allows you to take your guitar and play it through all of the filters and everything.
Right.
So you could input your guitar signal into it. Just a thought. MS-20.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the ones I was looking at was that Prophet 12 would be cool. But then again, I was like, I would really have to get a guy that plays keys. I shouldn't be the keyboard player. I'd rather play the guitar stuff. But I do love that. I'm just a control freak, I guess, because I hear what I'd want to hear on the keys. I mean, I'm bad when I play my bands, like in the funk band, the keyboard player will play something, and I'm like, yeah, can you change the inversion to have this note on the top? And he'll be like, really? And I'm like, yeah. And he'll do it, and he'll be like, all right, that sounds cool. But I'm just like, I hear things, and I'm like, the note that's on the bottom should be this. You know what I mean? I'll hear the inversion. I'm very picky about inversions. And in fact, yeah, like in other words, like if somebody's gonna play, if I ask someone to play a D major 9, I want them to play the A, C sharp, E on the top and the triad with the D on the bass. I don't need the I don't need the F sharp in there. And so a lot of people will play that. We'll add the F sharp in there, and I just don't need it. It's like I like it without that third. So just stuff like that, what I like to hear. But
well, all right.
Yeah.
Hey, I've got a new video coming. By the way, I bought a microphone online. This thing here.
Oh, nice. Is that a ribbon?
It is. It's an inexpensive ribbon. So I was watching. This is a company called Sterling.
Okay. So it's Guitar Center.
Yeah, it's distributed by Guitar Center. So I was talking to what the hell's his name? Michael from Big Hairy Guitars. Which, by the way, is a great YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed and checked him out, you should check him out. Big Hairy Guitars. So I'm talking to him about a couple of different microphones because he owns a studio and does professionally. He does recording, mixing, composing, all that sort of stuff, and the studio is amazing. Anyways, he tells me that I should check out this Pete Thorne video that highlights this particular microphone. Because the mic we were talking about was like a $500 mic, but he goes, honestly, there's this mic for $179 at Guitar Center. Pete Thorne does a video on it, and it sounds ridiculous. So I checked out Pete Thorne's video, and sure enough, like all of Pete Thorne's videos, it's amazing, right? So I figured, I'll give it a shot. It's not too expensive. I ended up finding one used on Reverb. This one's like $120 shipped.
Wow, nice.
So I thought ribbon microphone, $120. I can do a video on it. If I don't like it, I can resell it. We'll see. But
sure.
yeah. So that's coming. I'm looking forward to that because I've never used a ribbon mic before. Most of the time, I just throw a 57 at the edge of the dust cap and the cone, find a nice sounding spot and then go from there. But this is going to expand that a little bit.
So on every time I've ever recorded guitar, I've always used a ribbon, but I use a 57 as well. And it's cool to use cool to use the both, because what you'll find is you don't really have to EQ much. The ribbon you keep, and then you just dial up the 57 where you want to hear those nice brights and where you want it, and it just fills it, and it sounds fantastic. It's great. Yeah, ribbons are great because they pick up the moving of air. You know what I mean? You feel that a little bit better it's nice. Yeah,
I'm certainly looking forward to trying it. I just got it on Saturday. I hadn't had a chance to do anything with it. But for those who are interested, I will have a video coming out, in a day or two. But the model itself is it's a Sterling ST170 ribbon, ST170.
All right, let's take a look. Hold it up for a second. Let's take a look at that. We really can't see so much. There we go. All right, and
comes with one of these guys here.
Nice.
What the hell do you call it?
Shock mount.
Shock mount. Count Shockula. Look at that. There we go. That's kind of what it'll look like on your stand.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah,
and
it should be cool.
Cap on the top. Let me see the cap. Is the capsule facing the top too? Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah, it should be okay. I mean, judging from that video that I saw, I'm confident that it'll sound pretty good. And it also, they ship it in this little box here, which is cool. But yeah, I mean, even if you buy it new, it's only $179 or $169.
Yeah, I mean, it beats the price of the Roya 121, which is like $1,200.
$1,200, yeah. I mean, what do you got to lose? Good guitar tone.
Yeah.
If anybody out there listening is making videos like we are, get it, because you got to start making better sounding videos. The guys that all do so well at this have such great video production. You listen and the audio sounds great. And then there's like 800 other people doing the same thing where it sounds like they're recording with their iPhone microphone and it's peaking out and clipping, and you're just like, what am I listening to? And it just sounds like a trash can. Don't be the guy with the trash can.
You know what the problem with a lot of the low production videos is the clean. When they go to play the clean, they don't even have the amplifier close mic'd, and it just sounds like I'm listening to somebody just playing their guitar, like without even. I mean, you can't even hear what the amp sounds like, or. Yeah, I mean, I don't have that. To me, I just go direct with everything because I'm not, I'm not trying to sit here and. I'm doing another purpose. I'm not out here trying to show you all my amps and everything like that, but I do try to have a clean sound, and there's a bunch of guys too that also go direct, and I think the direct is, for the home guys that are doing it. Thorn stuff's always very good. Like I said, I had an issue with his stuff where it's like, everything sounds good, and I'm not big into pedal reviews. Like, I mean, it's just like, oh, here's a pedal, and I'm getting it for free. I mean, show me a pedal that sucks. That's my new thing. Show me a pedal.
His reviews are the Guitar Player magazine advertisements of yesteryear.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what. But you got to give him credit. He does a fucking bang up job.
Oh no, he's excellent.
Everything perfect.
Yeah, I'm not trying to take anything away from what he does. I'm just saying what he does is the antithesis of what I enjoy. I want to see somebody say this sucks.
Right.
Because I'd rather see, because at least then I'd be like, all right, this guy tells it like it is.
Every once in a while it'd be nice, yeah.
Just, you don't need it for everyone, but I'd like to have someone say, oh yeah, here's the J-Rocket Animal. It sounds great if you're going to use it alone. If you use it with another pedal, you may as well throw it in a fireplace because it sucks. That's the truth about that pedal. But, it just sucks. It's just got the biggest noise floor. It's unusable, but if you need one pedal. But then how many times do you just need one pedal? because you're going to want a little bit of a delay. And I saw recently, too, somebody was doing a demo of a pedal. And I'm like, throw something else on it. It just sounds like, you're not going to hear what a pedal sounds like when you just turn like the gain on a little bit to show what it sounds like. And you keep strumming an open E chord. It's like, that doesn't tell me how the pedal sounds. That just sounds like a distorted guitar.
This kind of reminds me of what I was doing all weekend long, which is cycling through all of like the stupid gear forums. And I got to stop doing that. Dude, you ever read the gear forums at all?
Only once in a while if I'm trying to find a piece of gear, because sometimes guys will be like, oh, I have that if anybody wants to. That's the only time.
It's such a mistake, though. So I go to the gear forums, and I get what you're talking about video-wise, except not exactly. It's just everybody bitching and complaining about a piece of gear that they've got very little or no experience in. So I'm looking at amplifiers, as I always do, and reading these things where people are like, here's the Mesa Boogie dual rectifier versus the Engel Fireball, or whatever. Take your pick. And then like they'll be like, I've got enough money. It's probably a kid. I got enough money to buy one of these used. What do you guys think? What do you like about one? What do you not like about the other? And then you get like 100 people that all chime in that have zero experience with either amplifier. And they're like, oh, my buddy's got a dual rectifier and it's the best thing in the world because blah, blah, blah. And it's, the Engel Fireball I've never played before. And so that person's opinion is like immediately invalidated. And it just goes on and on like that. And you get a lot of guys who are just like, I hate the dual rectifier sound. It's too flubby in the low mids and blah, blah, blah. Right? You know the deal.
I love it.
And then they'll say, you should get a Black Star because it's way cheaper. And it's just hilarious because it's like, that's not what the guy was asking for. And you clearly have a Black Star, whatever. And, and you're probably proud of your $500 amplifier. Yeah, and that's fine. You can be proud of your $500 amplifier. But this guy wants something premium and he's probably saved up a bunch of money, and he's looking used specifically because he's going for value on a piece of gear which maybe he couldn't generally afford. I just find it so frustrating. And it doesn't have to be like these high gain amps. It's literally anything.
Right.
It's like, oh, I want to get a Seymour Duncan with an Alnico 5 magnet. What's the difference between a 5 and a 7? And then you get some dickhead in there that's like, well, I only play 2s, Like,
well, the thing also is when someone sits there and it's like the whole thing. It's like I'm getting woozy. The whole thing is like you get a guy who like he plugs in his Seymour Duncan Invader filled Les Paul into a dual rectifier cranked, and he plays it once, and he's like, I don't like the mids aren't focused.
Ooh.
Yeah, might have something to do with. Might have some exactly. Might
You're
have something.
Listening to Focused Mids. That's what we got to do.
If you've seen on my page, I wrote before it says Dave's Guitar Channel. Now it says buttery tones and focused mids. Wait, what?
Kid, you got to print up the Focused Mids T-shirt.
Yeah, I know. I got to make some for people. Buttery tones and focused mids. Wait, what? So. But it's like, hey, asshole, your pickups might have something to do with that. There's so many different elements. And God forbid you walk up to the amp and turn a fucking knob. Do you know what I mean? It's like, are you kidding me? People are fucking nuts. And you read about these people, they'll sit there and they'll be like, the version 2 rectifier is not as good as the version 1. The version 1 is this, or the version 3 because Holdsworth agrees with me. And yeah, Holdsworth also played Carvin.
I thought for a minute you were going to say Holdsworth is dead.
And you're not Alan Holdsworth. But the guy played Carvin. So right. I don't want to hear that the version 1 is better than the version 2. Oh, you think the version 2 has less version 1 has less gain? Turn the fucking gain down on version 2. Turn the knob.
This coincides completely with one of the forums that I read where a guy was like, I've never liked Mesa Boogie stuff. I'm a Marshall guy. because with a Marshall, I can have everything at noon and it sounds great.
Right. That's genius.
It's like, okay, well, the Mesa stuff will sound good too. You just have to dial it. The EQ's a bit more sensitive. Figure it out, dummy.
Well, no, I love that. It's like, because I can keep everything at noon. Because basically, I'm writing a comment to show the world I'm the laziest fucking guy on the planet. I just want everything at noon. Because I could turn a knob on any amp, take it out for 100 shows, like on a Marshall or a Mesa, and the knob will never move. It's not like the Hot Rod Deluxe where the fucking amp is moving the knobs, or any Wampler pedal that the knob is moving 15 times in the course of a gig. You know, that's something that people don't talk about. I like Brian Wampler. I like his personal videos. I like his business. I like the sounds of his pedals. What I don't like is every time I go to a gig, the pedal can't last. The knobs are moving in the course of a song. I'm like, are we kidding? Like, what the hell is going on? I might be exaggerating here, but literally the knob
kicking
will
those
move.
Knobs? You got to be kicking those knobs.
Maybe I hit my board, but if my foot's going anywhere near that board, those knobs are moving.
Right.
They're afraid. They see my foot come down, the knob's like, I'm moving this way, trying to avoid my foot.
Weird. Yeah.
Yeah, it drives me nuts. I like a stiff knob. Thank you. Folks, I'm here all week. You're listening to Homosexual Talk. No.
That's completely true. You are.
Anyways. But no, seriously, I like the knobs to be firm on the thing. I like an erect cock. I can't. No, seriously, I just want the knobs to be stiff. I just want them not to move around. And that's something people don't talk about on the pedals reviews. They do the review and it's like, here's what the pedal sounds cleaned up. I'm going to pull back the volume. Yeah, genius. We understand how a fucking clipping diode works. How about those fucking knobs? Are they going to keep where I put them? Or are they going to move around and dance around on me? I'd rather hear about the knobs dancing around than how the guitar cleans up.
I have never had that issue before.
Oh, I have it all the time.
I don't use many pedals, though.
You've seen my board.
I have.
It's frightening.
It is. Yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah. I had a Pinnacle, I think. Pinnacle Plus, Pinnacle Deluxe, whatever the 2-button version of it is.
Yes, the Deluxe.
For about one day, and I didn't think it sounded that good.
I replaced it with the Angry Charlie.
Yeah, I think that there was something about it that just sounded funky to my ear. It could have been the amp I was using at that point in time, which who even knows what that was, because I've had so many amps between then and now.
Well, you know, that's the other thing. It's like when these people use these pedals, there's two platforms. You have like the Fender platform, which is like that clean. How is it going to sound? Does it give you the brown sound from a clean amp, or do you have to use an amp that's already getting some type of breakup? And the Pinnacle did not sound great coming off a Fender amp, whereas the Angry Charlie has more of a Marshall sound coming off of a Fender amp. That's why I changed.
Yeah, and you know, you look at the Fender amp, like a Blackface design, for example. The EQ itself is built with made with a built-in kind of smiley EQ. You know, it's scooped, it's got big bass, and when a designer comes up with a pedal design, they're designing with that in mind. I have a feeling somebody as bright as Brian Wampler is probably making his pedals and testing them through the most common amplifiers. He's probably testing them through Blackfaces, testing them through probably Marshalls, I would imagine.
I'm sure.
I would have to imagine. If you didn't, you'd be nuts, because you need to make it sound good through that. But I guess the problem on my end is I don't have any of those amps.
Right.
Yeah. But I don't even worry about it. I generally just play amps with amp gain that I like, you know.
I mean, there's something to be said about that. Not so much from the audience point of view, but from the player point of view. It's something far more rewarding playing an amp that's breaking up as opposed to just playing a pedal that's breaking up. Unless you're getting into like a lot of the sounds I'll use will be like just clean to break up. And in that case, it really doesn't matter. But when you're using like if you're going for like that heavy drive sound, or you're playing anything from Led Zeppelin, Rush to anything that has any edge like that, it's nicer to use an amp that breaks up.
Yeah, I have a tendency to agree with you there. Did you see the article that I posted from Joe Bonamassa?
No.
On my Facebook page?
Oh, I may have, but I saw that it was Joe's and I ignored it.
Yeah, I generally speaking, I mean, I'm not a fan of the guy, but I was a fan of everything he had to say here. So,
yeah, what was I glossed over it, but I did see it. It was something about guitar playing. And
I'll give you, I'll give the audience an opportunity to check it out here. It's literally at guitar.com, and the article is called "When Did the Electric Guitar Become Such a Pariah?"
Yes.
And the basic gist, and you can read the article, it's not terribly long, so if you have a short attention span, you'll still get through it. The basic gist of it is, when did the electric guitar become such a pain in the ass whenever you're playing live? And he's going on and talking about how every sound engineer in the house now wants you to turn it down so much that your amp doesn't sound good anymore. And everybody in the band wants to use in-ear monitors, and you're losing all of that vibe from your amp around it. You know, he's basically just talking about how all of the stuff that makes an amplifier sound good when it's turned up at every turn when you're playing live is being challenged by everybody. And I mean, just from like you and I have talked about with the Elvis gig, I tend to agree with that. Like, you know, it's all about like, oh, you gotta have low, super quiet stage volume, and we're just gonna pump everything in through the monitors. But then you got like a guitar sound that's not thick and not harmonically rich that's coming back through the stage monitors, and it's like, there goes the excitement of the tone of my amp, you know.
Well, I have to say it comes from a little bit of both camps. And one of them is like, you get guys like Billy Gibbons who's out there using an 11, right? So the people who running his stage rack is living the dream. They're living the effing dream.
Right.
And Bonamassa's the dinosaur that wants to keep playing the big loud amps. And I don't have a problem with either camp. The problem is you're going to have an engineer a stage engineer, whoever the hell's doing it, is like, dude, can you just make it easy for me? What? Wait, I'm supposed to make your gig easy? You're supposed to be making my gig easy. You know what I mean? People lose sight of what's going on. I don't know that I would call it a pariah. I mean, for me, the guitar has become an insignificant part of music making, mainly because the rock and roll aspect of music has fallen short, and I blame it on the business as well as the people allowing it. But basically, you have like record companies that aren't really signing rock bands. There's not really a rock band that's coming out, and nobody's really coming out playing songs that are great. You know, I keep hearing about what's that band that sounds like Led Zeppelin?
Greta Van Fleet.
Okay, Greta Van Fleet. You know, the reason I've never checked them out, and I've heard a song here and there, like when I've been out and about, and I'm like, oh, this must be them because it sounds like Zeppelin, but it's not Zeppelin. But not one person, okay, you know, people got upset when I wrote my Zeppelin comments, and I don't have a whole lot of love in the top 40, which I don't care. I don't think the song is that great. It's a gateway song to Zeppelin. Once you get into it, it's like you want the harder stuff. You want to mainline the hardest. Thank you, folks. But anyways, my point is, if you said to me right now, if I said, hey, John, Rush is awesome, you got to check out Rush. And I say, you got to go get Moving Pictures And I want you to check out The Camera Eye. I want you to check out Limelight. And just imagine we're on a planet that these songs weren't hits. And I want you to check out Tom Sawyer. Those 3 songs. Camera Eye being the song that I like, my guilty pleasure, because it's not as hit worthy as the other 2, as Limelight or Tom Sawyer. But those are the 3 I want you to listen to. Right? Mm-hmm. How common is that people would say that to you, as far as like if I named an older band, I'm going to tell you what to listen to?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, let's put it this way. How many people have suggested Greta Van Fleet to check them out?
Not that many, but
a few, again, right? But a few?
It kind of feels, I see it on Facebook and stuff, you know.
Right, but sometimes. Has anyone ever mentioned, go check out this song?
No.
That's the point. Because their songs are shite. And that's the problem with the guitar industry, is these rock bands that are coming out. Everyone's so concerned they sound like Zeppelin. Cool, tell me what song to check out. Well, any one of them. Yeah, that's because you don't know what the songs are, because they're terrible. If they had decent songs, you'd be yelling at me what song to listen to. I've never once said to somebody, oh man, you got to go. Oh, you know what's a great album by The Cure? Disintegration. Check out Fascination Street and the song Disintegration. I'm telling you what to listen to. Those songs are great.
Yeah, you're giving them a pathway into the band, which is
I'm not just saying go listen. Because at that point, what should I listen to? It doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm not going to be checking them out because I have nothing to go to. If you can't tell me a song, like, I just think that's where the guitar world is dead. Nobody's writing a decent song.
I wonder what happens if you ask a 13 or 14-year-old the same question. Because when you were 13 or 14, that's probably when you're picking up the most music and your head's a whirl with everything that's going on, and you're like, this is good, that's bad, whatever. Nowadays, you might still be doing the same thing, but generally, I don't think the public would be.
Well,
I think people aware of music because it's not at the forefront of their lives like you or I, or a lot of the people listening to this show. Teenagers might still be the ones that would say, oh, you got to listen to so-and-so. And they might give you garbage. They might say, you got to listen to the new Kylie Jenner, whatever, and here's the song. But I'm curious if that example that you're providing, if that changes when you start talking to kids again.
Well, I teach kids, and I teach, I have a boy and a girl around the same age. I think the girl's 15 or 16, and the boy's 14, going to be 15. The boy only listens to old classic rock or new rap.
Okay.
There's not new rock he's listening to or cares about. In fact, he just went and did an open jam yesterday, and with the kids that he went up with, who are all roughly around his age, they did Aerosmith's Train Kept a Rolling. They did All Along the Watchtower. And I can't remember the third, but it was something of that classic rock ilk. They're not out there going out and saying, let's go play a Foo Fighters song. There's no 14 or 15-year-old that gives a shit about Dave Grohl.
Which is funny because Foo Fighters are not new by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, they put out an album recently. I'm just saying they're still at least current. I mean, even though they're not new.
They're current as anybody who's still just making records or whatever, but the reality for them is they're 25 years old.
Yeah, I mean, when I was in 7th grade, now you were born in 81, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I was in 7th grade in 1981. I was 13 years old. The albums that I remember clearly being big was Billy Squier's Don't Say No album, which was phenomenal. Now I'm trying to remember it to exact this around this time. For Those About to Rock came out from AC/DC, and Back in Black was still not even a year old. It was what else was not even a year old was from 1980. Van Halen, Women and Children First. I mean, there was such a lot of music from new bands that were coming out and just crushing. And I still remember then a kid in high school had the best of Jethro Tull and Zeppelin 2. And I was like, oh, I need those albums too. You're very hungry for music back then, and you can find it. And the kids today who are out there hungry for music, trying to find it, are finding the same shit that I found in 1981.
Right. No, I understand that, and I don't disagree with that.
So I think that's kind of where people like to Joe Bonamassa, it's like, how come I get to turn down? Write a fucking song. Get people excited about music. I'm sure if Eddie Van Halen shows up at a gig, no one's telling Eddie to turn down. You know what I mean?
Probably true.
Eddie opens up the rip where they ain't talking about love, and everyone's like, turn it the fuck up. Bonamassa gets up there, plays a blues riff. They're like, hey, buddy, take it easy. Turn that down. I got some microphones here. Listen, we're trying to run an establishment.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, poor guy.
I'm just saying. I mean, it's
no. I get the
fucking song.
I get the thing, but nobody's
telling to Alex Lifeson, hey, buddy, listen, can you turn down that fucking Hughes and Kettner amp? I got people in the back row who are trying to have a conversation. No. Right?
That's funny.
But what he
folks.
playing with? Like on the last video I've seen of Joe Bonamassa playing live, he's out there with some girl, Larkin Poe, right? I think that's her name. Who I have no idea who she is, other than she's like a blues singer, a girl blues singer. It's
a duo, and they're both females.
Oh, is that okay? Yeah. To me, it is a virtual rope put to music. Just hang me. And it's just awful. I don't care. I
can't begin to tell you how many people that I know that are into music are like, you gotta hear these girls. And I listen to them and I'm like, they're so white. They're doing the blues stuff, but it's just, their whole thing is they're doing this blues stuff. But when I listen to it, I hear no soul.
Do you remember the Rossington Collins band? Or is that
Gary Rossington
and Alan Collins?
I don't know the
Rossington
band, but I know Gary Rossington.
Oh yeah, well, Gary Rossington and Alan Collins were the two guitar players in Skynyrd. They were and then there was the third, which was Ed King, and then later replaced by Steve Gaines. Mm-hmm. For those that don't know, Steve Gaines and Ed King had the actual exact same birthday. I think that's pretty interesting.
Now, Gary Rossington had that signature Les Paul when we were at West LA.
Yes.
Right. $6,000 Les Paul.
But I think it was Gary Rossington's girlfriend. I can't remember her name, but she sang lead. They did a duo together called Don't Misunderstand Me. You got to look it up and play it real quick. Okay. The song, it's like, when I hear these people talk about blues singers, I'm like, I always use that as the meter. I'm like, yeah, it ain't as good as Don't Misunderstand Me. Because Don't Misunderstand Me, forget about it being like a blues riff in drop D. It's just a killer vocal, and it's a killer song. And again, without songs, you got nothing. I mean, it does not matter. And if you don't believe me, there's a couple of albums in the early 80s that Heart did, where the songs are terrible except for one song. And you don't know those albums because there's no songs on them. Are you listening to that?
Yeah, but I hate it.
Why?
It sucks.
Oh, you're out of here.
And then the vocal follows it. Nah, it sucks.
Did the girl start singing?
No, but I don't got time for that shit.
Oh, she's great.
Now, this is really?
Oh, it's great.
This is boring.
It's 1980, that song. Do 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 do.
Generally speaking, the vocal line completely following the guitar line, I don't like.
Yeah,
I mean, I know a lot of people that love Country Girl from Black Sabbath. And I just I'm like, that's my
love with the country. Fantastic.
It's my least favorite song on that record.
It probably is the worst song on that album. Slipping Away is a little nice, but Slipping Away almost falls it a little bit too.
It's the whole reason that I haven't liked a Chili Peppers song since Blood Sugar Sex Magic. Every time Kiedis goes out and sings, he just follows the guitar line now. They found a formula in the late 90s that worked every time, and they were like, okay, this is what we're doing. Well, I mean, you listen to the stuff that he was doing on Blood Sugar Sex Magic, and he had some original vocal lines.
Right, but Under the Bridge is on that. Under the Bridge started the whole movement of every song became Under the Bridge after Under the Bridge.
No, but I'm talking about the vocal line just completely following the guitar line.
Yeah, but I think their whole career ended with Under the Bridge because that song became the model for every song after.
It was a good song, though.
I like Don't Misunderstand Me better.
There you go. Yeah, no, the tandem guitar vocal.
You know what's funny is you don't like that Rossington Collins song, but I think if you put it up against anything that came out in the last 20 years, you might be like, this actually isn't that bad. Back in 1980, remember there was a band called Axe doing Knockdown, Drag Out, Rock and Roll Party in the Street. There was so many small bands making a stab at it. In 83 when Zebra came out. I mean, there's so much good music. And then it's tell me something that came out in the last 20 years. What was 20 years ago?
1999.
99. Can you think of anything good? I mean, other than the electronica music that came out from in that era, I don't really care for much music around then.
I mean, I think in the last 10 years, the tune Rope by the Foo Fighters I like a lot.
Well, I think The Pretender's a decent song.
I like The Pretender, too.
Yeah, I think the Foo Fighters are a decent band. I was bringing it up. I don't think they translate to the kids, though. They're not you don't have a kid going, Foo Fighters. It's always guys our age and middle-aged people going, oh, they're great. But it's not Nirvana. Young kids are even liking Nirvana. I mean, they still love, they still go out and you see young kid bands playing Lithium and Heart-Shaped Box.
That's probably true.
Yeah, I just think that Nirvana still resonates with the rebellious youth, but Foo Fighters is kind of guys who listen to the Foo Fighters probably have a man cave in their house. You know what I mean? It's what it's for. It's for middle-aged guys.
I know a lot of women that like the Foo Fighters. I think
let's put it this way.
I think they might be bigger than you're giving them credit for.
At the Staples Center.
Yeah.
And I say, hey, listen, I want to go look at beautiful women. Am I going to a Foo Fighters show at the Staples Center or a Kings game?
That's funny. Depends on what you think is beautiful. You're going to see Ricky Lake at the Kings game.
No. The Kings game is ridiculous. It's always going to be the LA Kings game.
I've been to a couple of Foo Fighters shows, and I don't think that there's a shortage of the ladies there.
It's not like going to see Tim McGraw.
Oh, I'm sure it's not.
Right.
Then you get the cut-off jean shorts and the cowboy boots.
Right, exactly.
Hello. I love the cut-off jean shorts and the cowboy boots.
Yes.
It's a good move.
Folks, this episode is basically what concert are the women going to?
Oh, I'm sure if you wanted to see just a boatload of gorgeous girls, you're going to any hip-hop show today. That's just
or any country, any Luke Bryan or any of that stuff.
Yeah, they're not going to the rock shows. You know who I had dinner with the other night? Oh, I shouldn't say dinner. I actually just had some coffees and hung out with for an hour. I was with Howie.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm. He was telling me about his Myrtle Beach show because I just did a show with Nelson in Myrtle Beach, and had some stories to tell about it, but
nice.
He's got a good look at like what the rock and roll industry is like, because he's been in it, his whole life, actually working as a guitar player.
Yeah.
And
there was a guy on my live show who knew Howie from Ice Water Mansion. He's a Buffalo guy. He's like, I know Howie from that. Yeah, I guess he's friends with some of the ex-members and knows of Howie, but doesn't know him. Yeah. What did Howie have to say?
I mean, in general, the one line that stood out from when we were talking the other night, when he was kind of complaining a little bit about the industry, he's like, how many like 4-chord rock songs can somebody write with a pentatonic lead guitar solo? For how many years can you do that before it's not exciting to kids anymore? Because there is something to that, I guess, where like if everything just sounds kind of the same for 40 years, eventually you got to find something else to
I don't know about that. Whatever. Guns N' Roses is another band that resonates with kids. Kids, every little kid guitar player wants to learn how to play Sweet Child of Mine.
So where's the disconnect then? Because if the kids want to listen to a 4-chord song that's banging out aggression and then
AC/DC's another one.
Yeah. No, but let me finish this, because what my question is, if the kids are still into it, are the record companies not signing people to do this anymore because they think something different needs to happen, or are the bands not writing like this anymore because they feel like something different needs to happen? And somewhere along the way, one of those two things happening is preventing, like, the traditional great song from being written, maybe.
There's a couple of things going on. One of the main things is that there's a great interview with Frank Zappa on YouTube, where Frank talks about how the record industries used to be run by guys with cigars that knew nothing about the business, but got bands signed, didn't understand them, had worked with them, and then eventually they became big stars and had great hits. And then there's the guy who's the hipster that thinks he knows better than everybody else, and he's destroying the business. And that's what's going on, is you have people saying people don't want this anymore, and yet the classic rock stuff is still selling off the shelves, which tells you the opposite, that they do want it. But you got to go and develop those artists. It's not about the business at that point. When Alanis Morissette came out and that record did like 35 million in sales, and then her second album did 2 million, and they're saying, well, the second album was a failure. You have something fucked in the business. The first album is a fluke, but nobody goes out there to develop artists. If you look at Journey's first 3 albums, they probably didn't sell 100,000 combined. But they pressed on. They found a singer. The label got involved and said, hey, let's find you guys a frontman singer and make this. And they developed the band into what became Escape and Frontiers. And nobody's developing anymore. And then the other problem is while this is going on, you have guys like Vai and Satriani who are basically only turning on young guitar players and boys, basically. 13-year-old boys. So if you want to be a successful pedophile in this country, and when I say pedophile, I mean you like young boys, I would recommend going to any shred guitar concert, because that's exactly what you're going to be surrounded with.
Oh, man.
I'm just saying, it's true. It's like, if you want to go see, like if you went to go to and I'm not saying anything about Tim McGraw, I don't really care for him, but a George Strait, you're going to see a pretty diverse crowd. If you go see, any of these bands, you can go see. But if you go see like Steve Vai, you're going to be in an audience of 99.9999% guys,
right?
Because the music, there's nothing, and I'm not going to try to sit here and play the politically correct card. Women are much more emotional and they like the song. They're way more about it. A guy you can wow with bells and whistles. You could take a real heinous looking woman with a large rack, and a guy's like, right? That the one part makes up for all the others. So they go see Steve Vai shred a scale, and they're like, Hey, buddy, there's no song here. It doesn't matter. Yeah, her face is terrible. It doesn't matter. But a woman, she wants to be emotionally taken back. It's got to be a song. It's got to have some type of message or some song that makes you feel good and make you feel something. And so they're not going to those shows. Now they are going to shows that Howie plays because Howie's bringing back nostalgia for the middle-aged woman. That's what they bring when people want to go see Kip Winger, and they want to see these acts like Mr. Big, Nelson. They're going because they want to hear, number one, they love those bands, and that's nostalgia. It brings them back to their youth. But those bands had songs, and songs. I mean, you can sit there and go look at people could sit there and say, why was this band more successful? Like, what makes Van Halen more successful than Rat? Go buy Rat's greatest hits. There's the answer. Get past 3 or 4 songs and you've made it. That's the album.
Right. That's true.
Then you got to listen to Wade Cool Jr. I know you like that, dude. You have no say of what's a good song if you're saying Wade Cool Jr. is good. Body Talk's another one.
Wade Cool Jr.
Yeah. Body talk. Let me hear your body talk. Yeah. I mean, you got Round and Round. You got Lay It Down. You got You're in Love.
I liked Lay It Down because that riff was great. But yeah. I remember one time being drunk at a karaoke and doing Lay It Down and realizing that moment how bad that song was.
Oh. I know you really don't know. Yeah,
dude, the Lay It Down, like the hook on that song, lay it down. They say that line in that song like 600 times.
Yeah,
it's there's no substance. It's like one of those typical setup songs where you get like verse, chorus, bridge. But here's the problem: it goes verse, chorus, bridge. Chorus. You're just like, for God's sake, stop the song already. You didn't have 4.5 minutes worth of song. You had 2 minutes worth of song. You should have cut it off.
It's like Springsteen. He had 1.5 minutes of a song, and they were like, hey, Bruce, this song needs to be 5 minutes. Oh, no worries. I'm going down, 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 down. I'm going down, down. Right? I mean, it's like, Christ.
Oh, that's freaking funny.
And I like Bruce, but that song, it's just actually I like the album afterwards better, Tunnel of Love.
You know what song's great?
What's that?
There's no one like you.
Oh, fantastic.
Can't wait for the nights with you. I think I mentioned in the comments, I would like to do a video compilation of all of our falsetto singing.
Oh wait, didn't somebody have a suggestion what our favorite guitar solos were?
Mm-hmm. Well, I can't give you my favorite guitar solos of all time, but I give you my favorite solo of the week.
What is your solo of the week?
I've been listening to Kill the King. I dig it.
Danger, danger, the queen's about to kill. There's a stranger.
It's great. Oh no. Yeah, the Kill the King solo is great.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm trying to think what my favorite. What's your favorite song that Dio sings?
My favorite Dio song, period?
Yeah.
Caught in the Middle, probably.
You're kidding me.
I love it.
I think mine is I think it's Neon Nights for me.
Yeah, that's a great one.
I think it is Neon Nights. And I'm trying to think of what my favorite solo of the week would be this week. Ooh, I know what my favorite solo of all time is Grant Geisman's the one he plays on I can't remember the name of the song. Feels So Good by Chuck Mangione.
Oh, okay.
But did you get a chance to listen to Thunder and Lightning?
No, I don't think so.
That John Sykes solo. He's the second guitar solo. It's like you hear there's like a harmony solo with the two of them, and then the keyboards plays a solo, and then Sykes come in and plays a solo.
Mm.
It's just great. It's just so like over the top.
That's what we like. That's what
I'm going to say. That's my solo of the week. Thunder and Lightning, the John Sykes solo.
Okay.
Because I listened to it the other day again. I had to go listen to it.
Thunder and Lightning. There's a favorite of all time. It's hard to pull down a favorite of all time. There's a few like different solos that just work so well in their given songs that when I hear them, I'm always just like, yes, that was the right choice. There's an Iron Maiden one that Adrian Smith plays that I love to death, and I'm trying to remember what tune it's in because I haven't listened to Maiden in a while. But whenever I hear it, I'm just like, yeah, that was the right call. And I just, off the top of my head, that'll be my solo for next week. I'll figure it out.
All right. Yeah, he was good. I liked Adrian Smith.
Yeah, I prefer him to Dave Murray in the Tasty Chops section of Iron Maiden.
Yeah, I mean, Murray was the big legato guy. Everything is hammer-ons and trills. But I do like him, too, because he brings that. Without him, Adrian Smith just sounds like a guitar player. But with him, he gives that contrast to that playing, which is a nice... it's a nice thing for Iron Maiden. I've been following this Judas Priest thing. I guess what? They've been having a lot of problems. Like, I guess KK Downing... in the band had a falling out
recently.
Since he quit the band, I guess like KK Downing, when Glenn Tipton announced he wasn't going to be in the band anymore, KK Downing was kind of upset they didn't ask him to come back into the band. But KK Downing is still an owner of the name. He's still the fourth owner of the band.
So KK was up. So KK retired.
He retired.
Then Glenn Tipton has to leave because of health issues.
He has Parkinson's.
And then he throws a fit that they didn't ask him back after he retired.
Well, I guess they were still talking to him, and he was still in the band decisions. He was, even though he retired from playing. He was still a member of the band.
Right.
He'd been in the band. I guess he started the band, and he'd been in the band the whole time from like the late 60s or whatever the hell.
Right.
And then Glenn Tipton came in 74. And I don't know. He seemed like a nice enough guy, like in the interviews that I heard him on Eddie Trunk. But I just found it interesting that, that they didn't invite him back. But he was talking with them. Like, he knew everything that was going on. It was like, he's like, yeah, they reached out and talked to me about this, but then they went and hired another guy. Instead of asking the guy, Richie Faulkner, I guess, who's in the band now.
Right.
To go play Glenn's parts, and KK would come back in the band. They didn't want that.
Well, so the rest of the band probably didn't want to bring KK back into the fold just to have him say, I was right the first time. I don't want to be on tour. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's their dynamic, but my guess is that they're probably like, really? You already left.
Right, but again, technically he didn't leave. Like in the legal sense, they maintained.
But he left the workload part of it. Said, I'm not going to do the tours anymore.
Yeah, well, he took time off, and sometimes that's all you need. Isn't that what Portnoy said?
Until Halford learns how to sing, I don't give a shit.
Like Portnoy apparently didn't really want to leave Dream Theater. He wanted them to take 5 years off. That's what he said.
How ludicrous that sounds. Guys, I want to stay in the band, but not for the next 5 years. I want everybody in the band to stop making money because I want to do this other thing. It's like the rest of the guys have an equal say in it, and they say,
right. No. I don't think it's a crazy thing. You're making it sound like it's a crazy thing to ask for. I don't think so. I just think it's not crazy to say, hey, we don't want to do it and we're going to kick you out. I don't think that's crazy either. But I don't think, because the singer's done, what, 3 solo records?
Right.
I mean, so everyone's kind of done their own thing, and they probably have taken 5 years off or 4 years off between an album before. He just wanted to solidify that that's what he wanted it to do. And they didn't want to do it, and that was fine. But I don't think it's, I mean, like, they've been together since, what, 92, 93?
I think 86 is when that band got together.
Oh,
wow. Their first major label release was 92.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so they're signed in 92. They put out an album. So they've been playing for 25, almost 30 years. At 27 years, 26, whatever it is. But whatever it is. So they're 26. So 7. So now they're out playing. I mean, for someone to say, hey, let's take 5 years off and come back and do like a big album. No, we don't want to. All right, that's fine too. But I don't think it's nuts to ask. I mean, I think it would be crazy if it was like their 3rd album. Hey, let's take 5 years off. What?
I don't know. I just think of it from the perspective of just work. That's all. You know.
Yeah, but they're all working. I mean, Petrucci's done his solo album. He also does the G3 thing. I mean, everybody in that band has side issues.
Yeah.
You know? And
I agree.
And it seems like Portnoy, when he brought it up, all of a sudden then everybody's like, let's just focus on the band and let's make records.
He's apparently got like some internal beef with the singer as well.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, I think it's been kind of public enough for like the Dream Theater fans or whatever. They kind of know about it. Yeah, Portnoy's had like a long running beef with the singer. They don't get along. And for
now,
the purposes,
do you think it has to do with the singer hiring a different drummer for his solo projects?
I think it has to do with the singer not being as good as he was on the first record. The singer. So what happened with that with him was apparently when they were touring support of their second record.
Yeah.
He got some sort of food poisoning that was super gnarly, and the doctor told him you need to cancel X, Y, and Z shows because you're going to destroy your voice if you do it. And he thought better of it and ended up doing the shows anyways, and he destroyed his voice and hasn't quite sounded the same since. In the years following that tour, you listen to any of those records and his voice is way different. It's not as strong as it was on the first 2.
Right.
And apparently, at some point, I don't know the lore, but apparently Portnoy used to call him out on it and say, like, you need to work on this. And he wasn't happy with it. And I guess he used to, like, say, we got to, I want to look for a new singer. Apparently, everybody in the band sided with the singer, though, eventually. And so there's too much drama. We're going to let you go. And for what it's worth, it might not be worth anything. You know that we've each met a good number of rock and roll musicians and stars and whatever from our time at West LA Music and everything.
Sure.
I have met Mike Portnoy 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And he is an unlikable shithead.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, somebody that I admire as a musician, and he's completely unlikable. And at this point in my life, I've met all those guys from Dream Theater. Most of them are just nerds. But he was a cock. Like, legitimate. But I still like him as a drummer.
Yeah. Isn't he playing with Winery Dogs now?
Yeah. I like him better than I like Mangini. Because I think even though he overplays and even though he's a prog drummer and everything, I think he's still got a rock feel that I don't quite get from Mangini. I think Mangini's too polished for my like.
Huh.
That's just personal, but yeah, I like Portnoy's playing. He's always been a drummer that I really like. And
I never knew much about him, but now that I know you don't like him, I kind of like him.
Exactly. Dude, Winery Dogs is amazing. I'm going to go see them at the end of the month.
Yeah, and anyone that someone calls an asshole, I'm kind of like, I like the guy.
Yeah, exactly.
I like his attitude already.
Exactly. No, Richie Kotzen's one of these guys that I feel like the industry is left behind a little bit. And I know it's easy to like step up and say like, wow, have him write a song, but I would disagree with you and say the guy writes fucking great songs. I think the Winery Dog stuff is really good, and I can give you an entryway into that band.
So I think I have the Winery Dog album. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I think it's really good.
Again, the industry is suffering.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for Richie, who I think has a fucking great voice.
Yeah.
He's considered a shred guy.
Yeah.
And so the only people that know of the Winery Dogs, isn't Billy Sheehan in the band too?
Yeah.
Yeah, so then you got Billy Sheehan, another shred bass guy, and Portnoy, a shred drummer.
Yeah.
And they're actually playing great songs.
Yeah.
And unless there's somebody out there in the world called marketing, because without marketing, there is nobody going to make that band big. And the days of radio station where a DJ is like, oh, what is this? I'm going to play side 2. Those days are gone.
Yeah.
Radio station DJs aren't doing anything except talking. And then whoever's the programmer in that station is like, all right, here's, we're going to play a double shot of Led Zeppelin because we've run out of ideas. Yeah. You know what I mean? And Winery Dogs doesn't get on the radio. And that's, the whole system sucks. I mean, sucks right down to who gets paid from radio play too. I mean, even if they started playing Winery Dogs, it'd be a year before they start seeing anything unless they, until they got heavy rotation on the radio. So, I mean, that's the problem with Winery Dogs and any of these bands that are out there doing it. I mean, they're going out there, they're having a fun time. They're probably playing great venues and making a living. But unfortunately, Winery Dogs should be a huge band.
Yeah.
And they're not. And they won't be because there isn't anybody backing it saying, hey, this is great, and let's market the piss out of it. And there's a great fucking documentary about Kansas. And it's basically, they say, Kansas made it because what's his face? Don Kirshner spent millions marketing them, and he believed in them, and he kept saying to them, guys, just write me a hit. Like after the first album, he kept saying, guys, write me a hit. It took like where he was like, this is where the money's running out on you guys, and they came out with Carry On My Wayward Son and became huge, and his dividends paid off. But it was the marketing that really kept that band going and made them huge. And the reason why I say that, because when Carry On came out, people were still being marketed, and so radio stations were willing to play it. Winery Dogs could have a song of that caliber, but you would never hear from them because radio stations, the guys who are listening are talking about the bands on the radio, the DJs, they're not even spinning the record anymore. They're not.
No, they probably never even heard it.
No, but they're not even selecting the songs. They're just voices. Hey, you're listening to the soothing sounds of the Winery Dogs.
Well, no, I do honestly think that corporate media, what is it? There's like 4 major media companies that own like all of the radio stations in the whole country. I think that there's something to the fact that they probably have a playlist that, like I said, is like 120 songs deep. And they say these are the songs that have tested to retain listener attention the most.
Yeah, you know what? I think now that I'm thinking about it, I got to figure out how to start a pirate radio station.
You're going to be like Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah, what was
Pirate Radio?
Yeah.
That was a great movie.
Or was it in England? Was it based in England? Because in England, they always had it off the water, right? For the BBC. Yeah. I mean, that's what needs to go on, because something needs to get shaken up. I mean, there's nothing that, even there's music in the 90s and even in the 80s that people wouldn't get a chance to listen to.
Yeah, of course.
just because it's on the fringe. Virgin Records was a great record company back in the day because Virgin would keep artists that they liked and they didn't care that they weren't making any money. And if there's any Robert Fripp fans out there, I highly suggest checking out an album called Gone to Earth by David Sylvian. It's got Robert Fripp on guitar, Bill Nelson on guitar. An absolute amazing album. It was on Virgin. Never did anything in sales, but I can listen to that album all day. And it's like one of those albums that no one's ever heard of. It was great. Gone to Earth by David Sylvian.
All right.
On that note,
let's wrap it up. Let's call it. DL,
all right. Other than that,
times.
Very good.
Catch you later.
You're listening to Guitar Talk with Dave and John.